like a news.
Oh yeah,
you should have
dun,
like
dun,
a
dun,
news.
dun, dun. Like
Yeah,
that,
I
like
feel
the
like.
announcement.
Yeah, good morning, San Diego.
Sacramento.
Except we're in Sacramento.
Sacramento.
It's cool. What's up, guys? It's Jason and
Kayla.
It's like I didn't remember your name, but I know what it is. I was gonna laugh because it could be Kayla or Kaylina because it screwed us up when we hired Kaylina. Now I know who you are, but I can't say it. So.
We were talking about like what our names would be if we weren't our names, and
okay, perfect. Mine was gonna be Moonbeam because my parents were hippies, if that makes sense. So.
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
is that a real
totally
story?
Joking. No,
All right, no,
it's not a story.
That's funny.
No, but that's how that works.
I would be Alex.
Alex, if you were a dude,
yeah,
or it was a gender neutral.
Well, just if I was anything, actually, I like
Alex
boy names
gender
for
neutral.
girls.
I know we're not talking about salons yet, but we will be if you ask us questions. We have questions to answer for you. We are just catching up before we start the show because that's an important thing to do.
Yes.
Our youngest son, Riker, his name, if he would have been a girl, would have been Rain. Rayne. I don't know.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah,
that's
the deal. My grandma's name is Lorraine, and we thought it'd be fun to
Oh,
give it
that's super cool.
Anyway, there you go. Now you know more about Jason and his children. Next up at 5, we've got questions from you. So you've got
Next up at 5?
Yeah. By the way, we're a terrible news team. Please don't vote for us anywhere. Because
that's not. You're supposed to be positive. We're super great. Please vote for us.
Well, not a very professional news team.
Oh,
we're like the.
But maybe that's what makes us great.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump into it. You've got some questions that
I
have
some
submitting.
Questions.
You guys have been asking us questions. And again, do me a favor into the chat and say you can hear us and see us and all those things, so we know that this stuff is all working the way that it needs to. But you guys have questions. Hopefully, we have answers. I'll do my best to get you guys rolling, and let's rock and roll.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
First question is dun, 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 dun,
Let's do it.
from Heather.
What up, Heather?
How do
Heather.
you...
Goodwin.
Heather Goodwin.
I wanted to sell you out in case this question is amazing.
That's a good point. Heather Goodwin. All right. How do you handle the question about commission split in an interview?
Yeah, super good question. So first of all, like it tells me a lot about how you're asking the question because hopefully Heather, you don't get offended by me saying this, but like it already sets it up for me to know that you're uncomfortable with talking about commission splits because you're like, what if they bring up commission splits? And all that really means is you don't have a system to handle it yet. So can we talk about that? Because if you're afraid, and this happens in like sales and marketing and life and everything else, if you're afraid somebody's gonna ask you about it, guess what? They're gonna ask you. So like in sales, they say like if you if you're worried that the customer's going to say, I got to talk to my spouse, then the customer's going to say, I'm going to talk to my spouse. So if you're worried they're going to say, what's the commission rate? Then they're going to say, what's the commission rate? And if you're like, well, Jason, duh, that's something that everybody's going to ask. I agree, but how you answer it depends on a lot of things. So the way I would look at answering this is really simple, is that I actually would break out and say, I'm going to show you how our commission, when they bring it up, and I would prefer that you bring it up actually, and say, hey, I want to talk about commission structure with you and how we set up and what we want to do. I want to show you how to make the money that you want. So I would actually stop at that point, sidetrack for a section and say, I have a question for you. How much money would you actually like to make as a stylist? Because it's not really about commission. And they're going to be like, what are you talking about? And they're going to think that you're weird. It's okay. It's okay to be weird in a good scenario. Okay? So they're going to say, you're going to say, yeah, well, that's why we like weird people. But they're going to say, well, what do you mean? They're going to say, well, look, how much money do you want to make? And they're going to go, I want to make 50 grand or 75 grand or 100 grand a year or $1 million, whatever they're going to say. They're usually going to say something like that. And you go, great. Well, look, here at our salon, we have 5 different 6-figure stylists that actually take home 6 figures a year. And I want to show you how we help them get there. And commission rate is part of that, but that's not all of it.
Yeah.
So automatically notice that I'm taking the conversation away from like, well, do you pay 40%, 50%, or 60% commission? Because to be really honest, that commission rate, I know this sounds crazy, but is almost irrelevant. Like, I know it's going to make you mad, but like it's almost irrelevant to how much money they make. So I'm going to show you something that we created a little bit ago. And if we could bring the house lights down. Molly behind the camera today, magically making things happen.
Go,
Look
Molly.
at this. I like it. One more notch, I think we're good to go. So if you notice back here, this is one of the tools that we used at a program recently. We actually were just teaching it out at our destination training in St. Louis. I brought it up out there, and as well as we did this during a training called the Salon Owner Evolution Revolution. So I'll do my best to kind of show you how this whole thing works. I don't know if this is going to show up on there or not. But basically the way this works, can you see it? Yeah, that's a little better.
Oh, nice.
My head is blocking it, but you get the idea. So the way this works is we say, okay, well, how much money are you making right now? And they go, well, look, at my current place that I'm working, I'm making, I don't know, let's call it $44,000 or $45,000 a year. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right there. See? So here, I'll circle it so it's a little easier to see. They say, I'm making $44,000 a year. You see that? And then you go, okay, great. So let's look at how this breaks down in our salon. So if you're making, that means you bring in $60,000 a year. Let me look at that real quick so I know what it is. Your weekly service total, and it is good to break it down, by the way, as weekly service. It means you're doing $1,200 a week. you're at 50% commission. Now look, you want to write down what your mid-level or entry base commission is here. 50% was just an average that I wanted to use. So if yours is 45, you want to recreate something like this with 45% commission. Let's assume a 20% tip. That's what our average guests are tipping out, 20%. And then let's talk about a commission percentage of 20% on the retail products that you sell. That'll mean that you take home $44,000 a year. Now that's pretty cool, but I want you to notice something. What most stylists think about when you say I make 50% is that means if I make 60 grand a year, what's 50% of 60, Kayla?
30.
Math on the air live. 30,000, Jason.
I know it.
We just talked about school tests are hard. Okay, so 60,000, normally that's 30,000, but I want you to notice, if you make 60,000 for the salon, you actually take home $44,000. This is a really important thing to have a conversation about, because what stylists generally say is, you take half my money. Like 50% means you get half, Kayla, as the owner, and I only get half as a stylist. But right away, you're showing them right off the bat that when they make 60 for the salon, they're actually keeping $44,000 for themselves as a result of that scenario. So it's really important. Then you go, great, well, you want to make $100,000 a year, right? Right, Kayla? You said 100. Oh, well, reverse. I want to make 100 grand, right? So I want to make 100 grand. Kayla, better pay me. So look, if I go up this list, there's $103,000. I'll show you. 103,000.
Look, and it's only like 3 above.
Right, and it's only a couple
peasy.
steps up, super easy. But what I want you to notice is that means you would need to bring in $144,000 a year for the salon in order to make $103,000.
Wow.
So, and again, the idea is that as a salon, you have additional costs, hard costs, receptionists, advertising, marketing, space, all the rest of that stuff. So for the additional $40,000 that you get to keep, and again, a salon owner might only keep like less than 10% of that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes 10, sometimes 20%, but the idea is they keep about 10, 20%. The stylist gets 50%, plus they get tip, plus they get retail commission. So they make $103,000. So what you want to show somebody is, look, I can help you become a 6-figure stylist by using this chain. And what I want you to notice is the best thing you can have as a conversation. Notice this commission does not go up.
Wow.
It's not saying like, well, you have to make 50% commission, then I'll raise it to 60, then I'll raise it to 70, and I'll raise it again. Like, it's not about raising their commission. It's about showing them how do you train them to get their book of business up to where it deserves to be so they can make the money that they want. And you go, look, I'll coach you and show you how to do this, because we actually have 3 stylists in our salon. I'm making this up. This is not, I don't own a salon, just to clarify. But like, we have 3 stylists that are making $200,000 a year, and they're taking home $150,000 a year.
Damn.
I'm going to help you coach with them every single week and get you to that place, because we want to create you to be a 6-figure stylist. Now, go back to the original question. How do you broach that conversation about 50% commission? Notice that this is a very good way to show them how to get what they want without talking about why you pay 50 or 60% commission. Because again, it's actually an irrelevant conversation. I mean, it is relevant because it does matter. But if you focus on the coaching of getting them to that 6 figures a year, and you don't worry about the rest of it, like, they really want to know, how do I get to 6 figures a year? They're making 30, 40, 50 grand now. They want to get to 100,000. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they're ambitious. If you show them a path to get there, what you pay as commission becomes a little awkward, and or becomes better and not awkward. So if they're still like, but it says you only pay 50% commission, be like, yeah, because we're going to spend a lot of time training and investing in you and doing all these things. And even though this number might go up and down, and if you use a level system, you might start them at 45, then go to 47, then go to 50, and then go to 55. I don't know. But you just say, yeah, we have a level system. This is the average in our level system. And this gives you an example of how to get to $100,000 a year. Notice, instead of it being about how much you're going to pay me, it's about how much will you help me. And that's a really big difference.
That was life-changing for me in our interview.
That's good. That's good. I think that's helpful. By the way, if this is helpful for you, do me a favor and say helpful in the comment section. I am watching to make sure that the comments are flowing and you guys can hear us, because I want to make sure all this is working the way it needs to.
That was the thing, like, this doesn't replace the bell curve. This is just additional. Like, the
bell curve. If you guys have seen some of our other videos, we talk about like the bell curve. Oh, I should probably just draw it now that you mentioned it, Kayla.
You're welcome.
She's like, thank you. This is kind of how commission should work inside of a salon. I know I'm kind of like taking a little deviation here, but a bell curve inside your salon should kind of look like this. Is that the way your commission should pay out should kind of look like this. This is a very poor bell curve, but it should kind of look like that. And the middle rate here is your center commission, then you should have some upper and lower commission. So for example, you might say this lowest commission, I'm just gonna make it up, say 45%, then you might say 47%, and then it might be 50% right here in the middle, and then this goes to whatever, 52%, and then it might go up to 54 or 55 or something like that. Just to give you an example, that's not my like recommended commission rates. The way I recommend commission is you got to like do the break even on your salon and figure out, you know, how what you can actually pay, because if your rent is downtown Manhattan, you might not be able to pay out the same rate as somebody else. But the idea is you want to make sure that in your in how this commission salon. Sorry, I can't draw and talk and do all these things.
I was actually gonna be like, wow, I'm really impressed how we can draw. And talk.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the idea is that you want to make sure that this is the balance of power inside your salon. Okay. So what this means is that you want to make sure that you don't have too many of your highest level stylists inside your salon. Because if you have, like, let's say you've got 20 people on the team and you got 15 that are all of this highest commission rate, well, you're in trouble, right? Or let's say you have 20 people on your staff and you have 15 of them that are here, that are all newbies. Well, that's kind of a problem too, because they're not going to be booking their own business. You actually want the majority of your staff to be in this middle commission rate. That's why it's called the bell curve. This is the amount of staff that you have inside it. You should have a few veterans, a few newbies, and the most of your income generating people should come out of the middle, and all of a sudden you're now having a better rate. And that's you don't need to show this to your staff that you're trying to hire. That's not for them. It's a different conversation. But this is how your bell curve should work, and your middle point should, all these numbers should break even. Even at this number, you should be breaking even. If you're losing money with somebody on your staff to pay them out commission, like you decided some crazy number, like 65% commission at the top because you want to keep them longer, you're paying them to come to work every day out of your own pocket. And if they left the business, you'd actually make more money. Don't do that.
Whoa.
But this gives you an idea of kind of how that works. So anyway, I hope that's helpful and it gives you some good framework. If it does, do me a favor and say bell curve in the chat, and we'll make sure that that's working the way that it needs to. So
I feel like I could own a salon now. With all the stuff I've learned.
You're like, Jason, I know so much. There's a few more things to it than that, Kayla.
Yeah.
If you want to really own a salon.
Good thing I know a good coach. All
The
right,
cheese just coming out today. I love it. All right, let's bring those lights back up so we can.
Roll it, Molly.
Yeah, Molly. Well done. Look at us. There we go. Lights are back up. Thank you so much. Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, I have more questions.
More
All right.
questions. Yeah.
Christina.
Yeah.
Is the next question.
Okay, Christina.
All right.
What up?
This is about chargebacks. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah,
Any
this
advice?
was okay. Can I just say you asked this question because you posted one of the questions about chargebacks. People were like, what do you mean chargebacks? So let's. This is a good one.
So this is why I asked about chargebacks.
Yeah, if you have chargebacks, like meaning people who randomly dispute their credit cards, right?
Yes.
That's what we're talking. People randomly dispute their credit cards and you get a chargeback on your credit card. You're like, what the hell? That's what we're talking about right now. If you've had a chargeback, do me a favor and say chargeback in the comments. I want to know.
Let us know.
We saw some comments on this and we saw this was happening. I don't know if all of you are seeing that, but I'd really like to know. And if you can read this exact question that came up, that would be awesome.
All right, Christina, I'm going to read the question that was asked to us inside of our Profitable Salon.
Was it Christina's question?
Christina, yeah.
Okay, Christina, we got you.
Okay,
This
Christina,
is your question.
here we go. Does anybody have advice on dealing with chargebacks? As the economy worsens, we are seeing a definite uptick in friendly fraud.
Friendly? That doesn't sound friendly at all, but okay. It's just called fraud, by the way.
Just fraud. Mm-hmm. We have just had a client that was serviced in April reverse $500 worth of extension and color services, and then she waited a week or two and reversed her May extension.
So she came in, got it done, and then came back, got it done a second time, and then got them both reversed.
And she reversed her April after she had her May. That's crazy. She waited a week or two and reversed her May extension because she asked this question.
Well, first of all, don't ever book that guest again because they're ripping you off, number one.
Seriously.
But number two, what was the rest of it?
Okay, so she said, and then a May extension and color services. Obviously, if we did a bad service in April, she wouldn't have come back in again in May. I feel like we guard ourselves as best as we can with signed forms and before and after photos, but the card companies always side with the customers and reverse the transactions. It's very frustrating. Seriously.
Well, so here's the thing on this, and again, I'm not seeing anybody comment and say they're having chargebacks, so maybe that's not your issue, and that's totally fine. Just hang out for a second. I'll answer some more questions, but here's the deal. If you're receiving chargebacks, first of all, don't ever let that. You need to blackball that guest and get them out of the salon. They've stolen from you. Like, let's be super clear. I don't care how nice Miss Susie or maybe a guy got extensions. I don't know, but it's possible.
Classic Karen.
Maybe. Karen. What's the male version of Karen? I don't even know.
Ken.
Ken. That's my dad's name. That's so mean. Don't say Ken.
Oh no.
Can't do it. Sorry. Anyway. But anyway.
Kenneth.
Even worse. But the idea is that if somebody's doing that to you, like, you got to really button it up. Now, here's what my experience has been with chargebacks, and I haven't had a lot of chargebacks in our company, but I've coached people through it, is that if you have really solid written documentation, you shouldn't have an issue with chargebacks. Meaning that she said she's really well documented, having them sign before and after pictures and all that stuff. So I would heavily get on the phone with your credit card companies and say, here's the documentation saying that they were happy with their service, that they saw the before and after, that they signed this thing saying like whatever's going on. And you might want to talk to your attorney. It's another really good one. Talk to your attorney and say, if this is a rampant problem in your salon, like you have a different problem, talk to your attorney and say, what language do I need to put in here that would prevent us from ever getting a chargeback? And they might say, no matter what, I won't request my money back, or I don't know, whatever they need to say in there. Or they may have some lawyer language. I'm not a lawyer, if you couldn't tell by my horrible lawyer language. But also, ask the credit card companies and say, I would get on the phone with them and I would say, listen, here's what happened. I want to know what languaging I would need to have to send you in paperwork to show that this was a valid transaction, because companies like American Express, like if you dispute the transaction, they just immediately remove it. Now, it's been my experience though, because I had somebody fraudulently, somebody request a chargeback that was wrong. They just didn't recognize the company name or something like that, and like they were totally fine with their service, everything was cool, but they didn't recognize the company name, and so they disputed it. And then I number one, I called them and I was like, hey, was this right? Like, what happened? And they were like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And so I called the credit card company, I sent in the agreement, and they didn't even have to call their credit card company. We just took care of it, and the credit card company reversed it for us and gave it back. So sometimes that happens. Like we had that happen, honestly, it just happened the other day in our office. We had a credit card get stolen, and we're like, oh, all those charges that day were fraudulent, although one of them wasn't, and we didn't mean to reverse it or charge it back, so it was an accident. That's probably not this gal's case, especially if you reverse both of them, but it'll definitely give you some grounds to play with, and hopefully that'll help you get out of this like chargeback circle that you're into. And one last thing I want to say about this for all of you, because not a lot of people are commenting chargebacks here. Really, really important. Don't go out of your way to create a massive system for a one-time problem. Look for problems that you have over and over and over again and create solutions to those, because if you spend a couple $1,000s with an attorney, like figuring this out to solve a problem, and it's only happened to you one time ever, let's just chalk it up to that one person, and then move forward. I think we spend a lot of time trying to fix a one-time problem. You know what I mean? And like just, I don't know. Sometimes people are weird. You know, I don't know. Maybe something happened in her life or his life, and they just had some issue and whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying just let it go, but just I would just say like put an easy solution in place and then move forward. And hopefully, if you get chargebacks, that'll help you. Cool.
Like Molly says, look for patterns, not abnormalities.
Ooh, Molly. Shout out to Molly behind the camera for saying fancy things. I like it. Pamela Lynch, what's up? Sonia, what's going on? Melody, Misty, good to see all of you guys that are on with us and hanging out. If you are digging what we're talking about, say digging it. Oh, it is. It's M. Well, Sonia's not it.
Oh, man. Masanya.
Anyway, if you're digging what we're talking about, do me a favor and say digging it. Hopefully it's helpful later on Facebook. By the way, this is happening at a Profitable Salon on our Facebook group privately and on our YouTube channel. So hopefully there's some good stuff on there. We got a lot of you guys that are chiming in with us and hanging out. So
and if you're tuning in later, like let us know you're tuning in later because we'd love to say hi.
Yeah. If you're not watching it live or you think this is live and it's not, I mean this is right now, but I'm just saying like later.
That's our secret.
It's always live.
We're always just sitting right here.
Just hanging out, no matter what time of day. If it's midnight, clearly it's alive.
Clearly. Okay. It's pretend light outside.
Oh my gosh, Kayla. We get so silly on the show. Continue.
Okay. This is a two-part question. And it starts out with, this is from Molly.
Not this Molly.
No.
A different Molly. Just to clarify, this is not our Molly seating questions. This is another Molly.
We do get a lot of questions from... Do we have a last
name?
No, we do not. Okay. We are not.
Another Molly, clearly not ours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Continue. Okay. Anyway, part one. Advice on purchasing a new salon and how to mold it into your current salon. So it's a salon that's already established.
Like how do you merge the two staffs together?
Merge, mold.
Well,
actually
she said melt.
She actually put melt.
She put melt?
She put melt. How to melt it in with your own salon.
Like crayons.
Like crayons. Oh man, I love chopping them up and then you make different shapes. Anyway.
Can you tell Kayla's got kids? So do I. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so how do you meld the two staffs together? Was that the main question?
How do you meld the new, just the one.
How do you melt the two together?
Yes.
And create a good culture? Is that what
yes. Yeah, because the second part is then how do you make the staff feel comfortable?
Yeah, okay, so there's a couple things about that. First of all, you got to remember, it's kind of like a marriage, right? Is like, you got to merge two families together that don't get along. Do you know what I'm saying? Like go back to like, Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, like the two families don't come together, like they could be feuding or whatever. So think about this. If you're in a city and you have a salon and then you buy the salon across town, it's possible that those salons have been somewhat at odds with each other. Not to go full Romeo and Juliet on you, but like it could just be like they're in two separate environments and they're like, oh, well, like that was not a salon that we liked or didn't hear good things about or whatever, and now they're coming on and who knows, like that can kind of create some cultural issues. But just in general, you got to think about it like this, is you got to warm them up. So I'm going to give you my fish analogy that's hopefully very powerful. So I just went to the state fair this last week, and they don't do this anymore, but have you ever been to a fair, like some little fair or church festival or something, where they have like goldfish in a little
zip, like a thing? Throw them in a thing?
Well, I don't know if you can catch them, but like they come in a little thing that's like a prize. You leave with a goldfish. Don't ever take my children to that. We are pet free in our household, so I don't want fish. But so anyway, when you get a goldfish home, I grew up with 1 million pets. That's why I'm pet free now. But we'd go home and we had fish tanks in our house, And when you have a new goldfish, it's my giant water bottle representing Sit, because it's basically the size of a fish tank, let's be honest. Yeah, people are like, what is this? So the idea is that when you have a fish tank that's got fish in it, and you get a new fish, what you want to do is you take the fish still in its plastic bag, and you set the plastic bag inside the fish tank.
To acclimate the water.
For number one, it acclimates to the water, so the water starts to adjust to that temperature. And this might sound crazy, but the fish start to get to know each other with a protective barrier around the fish, so they don't like attack each other. Because if you just dump the fish in, the fish has like a total freak out moment, and all the fish are like, "Who are you?" And they like start beating up the fish. This happens. It's a real thing. And so, so this is like the analogy I want to go with here for like how do you bring other staff together? Is you've got to, when you bring them together, you want to kind of put like a little protective bubble around them and like give them a little bit of time to adjust, and don't just be like, "We're one happy family now. Congratulations, everybody deal with it." So here's how you do that. Can I tell you how you do that?
Yes, please do.
So number one, for all of our people inside our academy, no matter what program you're in, we talk about something called the Code of Honor. And a Code of Honor is a set of rules that you live by, right? But like this fish tank and whatever other fish tank, they've got a different set of rules that they live by. That's why they fight with each other. So you got to say, like, how do you meld those two worlds together? So what I would recommend is when you merge your two salons together, I would actually recommend you do a refresh of your Code of Honor. If you have one in place, that's when you want to do it. If you don't have a Code of Honor, this is the opportunity to build one and say, hey, we have these two teams that might have slightly different values, right? You might value, like one might be like a super cool, trendy, vivid color salon, and the other salon is maybe more like extensions and lashes, or who knows, right? And you got to blend and go, well, how do we create an idea on our own? And just a couple things. Number one, you might want to create two separate entities, like we specialize in this over here, we specialize in that. Or you might say we want them both to be identical and they're both under our same umbrella. Depends on if you're changing the names or whatever. You know, you might be changing both the same name or keeping them separate. But the idea is that this sounds like they're trying to blend. Okay? So if you're trying to melt crayons together, which can be its own process, is what you want to do is build a Code of Honor together and say, okay, if you represent Salon A and I represent Salon B, I'm like, all right, Kayla, what are some of the values that you have? Well, we value integrity, honesty. You know, you go through all your values, and I go, well, we value this, 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 this. And we look for points of commonality between the two salons. And then we take those points of commonality through our value system, and then we start to create rules and ideas to say, hey, we believe that the customer is the most important, and that we want to celebrate them at every opportunity, something like that. And you go, yeah, do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
I agree with that. And what happens is now all of a sudden we're like, we find points of agreement. So what I find within families that get merged together, Romeo and Juliet, right? When you merge those families, you got to find points of commonality. You got to find points of commonality that bring them together. Otherwise, they're going to continue to feud or not get along. So you're looking for those opportunities. I would also highly recommend doing a team outing that has nothing to do with business and nothing to do with all that, and be like, hey, we want to get everybody together, not like a dinner. It needs to be something where everybody's on this sounds weird, but like an equal, uncomfortable playing field. Like, we're all going to go to batting cages and nobody's ever played baseball before. Like, you want them all to be uncomfortable. Or like, we're all going to go, like, there's a place around here called like axe throwing. Like, have you done axe throwing yet?
Yes, I've done axe throwing.
So you're a pro. But let's say most people have not done axe throwing.
I can throw an axe with one hand. I'm a pro.
As opposed to your teeth. I get it. Okay. Anyway, so the idea is that you want to take them to an activity that most of them haven't done before. Put them in a setting where they're just kind of down to hang out, and give them a little bit of structure. Don't just like let them like, you know, get at each other. You want to give them a little bit of structure, and maybe there's some like icebreaker questions of like, how'd you get into the industry? What'd you do? Like, that'd be a really good like roundtable discussion. Is like, hey, what made you want to do hair in the first place? And then you can kind of like rotate around and like get all of their opinions, and they go, wow, we have a lot more things in common. Then you do the value system, then you do a Code of Honor, and all of a sudden what ends up happening is they start merging together as a team. Now, again, go back to that plastic bubble part of it. That's kind of what's protecting them, is like you're the one getting between them from fighting. You're kind of staying in between. So you won't just be like, hey, everybody works at both locations now. You want to start creating some separation and slowly blend them together so the water starts to adjust, they start to adjust, and you'll be able to do it. The biggest mistake that I find, and I'll leave this last thought for you on this, and by the way, if you guys have questions you want answered on another live like this, do me a favor, comment with your question here. If we don't answer it today, we will answer it on another Ask Us Anything. We do this every couple of weeks, unless I'm traveling or something crazy. Maybe we'll do a remote one next time. I'm doing a crazy thing that next week we're gonna be out of town doing this like Army Ranger boot camp leadership program.
That's so cool. No.
Yeah, I'm doing this crazy thing. I might die. I told my wife like, here's a life insurance policy.
That's horrible.
Well, I'm joking, but it's like it is brutal. They were like, be prepared to do all these things. We're going to Texas in the middle of the
heat. And are you going as a participant?
Yeah. I'm not gonna like lead it.
How the turns have tabled.
The turns have tabled. The tables have turned.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant. Anyway, okay. So last thing I want to say, and I forgot because I'm telling you my special forces.
Well, I really like that like the whole fishbowl thing. It protects the new people coming in and your old people.
Thank you for stalling. I remember
You're
what it was. Good vamp. What I think can screw up most people is that, let's say I'm Jason, I own a salon, and Kayla is the owner for the other salon, and she leaves. Kayla had these relationships with all of the other people in the salon, and then she pieces out. I come in, and I'm used to being the boss over here in my salon, and then I just go in and start bossing around the other people in the other salon like they're just my people now, and they have to do what I say.
Yeah,
As a leader, you have to earn their respect, trust, and you have to serve them in a way that helps them feel like, just like going back to that thing about like, how do I help you get to $100,000? I would sit down with every single one of those people, either you or your management team or whatever. It depends on how big the salon is. But I would sit down and go, hey, Kate, like if you were an employee there, I'd say, hey, Kayla, so we're going to be coming in and working with the salon. I want to know about you. I want to know how you got into this. I want to know what your goals are, what your aspirations are, and how do I, like, because you're kind of hiring 20 more people or 50 more people, whatever it is, and just say, like, I want to know what you want. So tell me about what you want for your family, what you want for your business, and how much money do you want to make so I can help you achieve that.
Yeah.
And if I sit down in that servant mode with every single one of those people on that team and be like, how do I help you get what you want?
Yeah.
Because I know that'll help me grow as just by default as we're doing that. Then all of a sudden we have a very different conversation than like, okay, Kayla, here's your new performance numbers. Good luck, otherwise you're fired. Like, that's
Review
what people
in 6
do.
months.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what people do. They do weird things like that.
Don't do weird things like that.
Yeah, don't be weird. Well, we said be weird. Now we're saying don't be weird.
Well, be weird with a purpose. There's a time and place. You know your audience.
Purposefully weird.
Weird.
If you thought today was fun, please comment purposefully weird. I think that'll be a good frame
I'm gonna
for us.
go comment purposely weird. I had a blast.
Purposefully weird. And yeah, I'd love to know if today was helpful for you. If it was, do me a favor and say helpful. I know a lot of you guys said digging it, but I'd love to know if today was helpful. I'll give you guys a shout out on social media. Again, as you guys submit questions, if we don't answer them or we don't let them in the group, it just might mean we need to answer them with a little more context.
Yes.
And we want to make sure you guys are getting some good value out of this thing every time we do one of these Ask Us Anything shows. And the more you comment, the more shows we'll do.
Yeah.
Because no comments, no shows.
And who knows what you're going to get when we hop on the video.
And that's the way the hair curls. Oh, wait, that's too late. Too soon.
Too soon.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for being
Sacramento.
on today. Appreciate all of you, except everybody's from all over the country,
shoot.
so that's cool.
Dang it. Thank you, Sacramento's air, and everybody else around the world.
All right, guys. Thanks for being on today. Really appreciate you, and that's the way the hair curls.
That's the way the hair curls.
I like it. All right, guys. See ya. Bye for now. Enjoy, and I'll talk to you on next.